Sounds simple, right? But this is actually one of the most iconic Valentine's candies in America. Sweethearts are those tiny pastel candy hearts stamped with classic messages like "Be mine" and "I love you." At their peak, they were everywhere every Valentine's season. Demand was so huge, factories had to crank out nearly 8 billion pieces a year. That's around 100,000 pounds a day, running almost year-round just to keep up for Valentine's Day. And here's the interesting part. For years, these little candy hearts were made in Necco factories. So now let's step inside the factory and see how they were made. Necco is a name generations of Americans grew up with, the company behind some of the country's most nostalgic candies, from Necco wafers to Sky Bar to the unmistakable Sweethearts. Inside its massive factory in Revere, Massachusetts, spanning roughly 810,000 square feet, Necco once turned out more than 200 different kinds of candy. But one product stood above the rest: Sweethearts, the Valentine's classic that's been passed down for generations. Since the early 1900s, it's estimated that more than 300 billion Sweethearts have been produced. And a number like that tells you something. This isn't just candy. It's a piece of American memory. So now, let's head deeper inside the factory and see how this sweet little legend was made. Now it's time to step onto the production floor and see how these iconic little heart candies actually come to life. It all starts with the most obvious ingredient you can imagine: sugar. And not just a little. We're talking massive quantities. Across the factory, multiple industrial mixers run at the same time, each batch handling up to 900 pounds of ingredients. Next comes cornstarch. That's what pulls out excess moisture, gives the candy its crumbly texture, and creates that signature chalky bite Sweethearts are known for. Then the mix gets its color. After that, flavor is added. Not just one or two, but 18 different varieties, ranging from the classic favorites to newer flavors like wild strawberry, grape, and watermelon. Finally, a binding solution made from gelatin, plant gum, and water is blended in to hold everything together. The whole mixture is stirred slowly and evenly until it becomes one smooth, finished candy mass. Once the base is ready, it moves to the extruding and rolling line. Workers keep dropping fresh portions into the feed hopper so the line never slows down. From there, the machine presses the candy dough into a wide sheet, about 20 inches across and roughly 1 inch thick. A fine dusting powder is added to keep it from sticking to the equipment. The sheet moves into the stamping and printing section, where each candy starts to get its own personality. The messages are pressed on using molds coated with a special edible ink. This line can turn out hundreds of different messages, and those messages have changed with the times, almost like a snapshot of how every generation talks about love. From classics like "Be Mine" and "Marry Me" to more modern sayings, each tiny candy heart carries a little piece of American Valentine culture with it. This is the moment the candy sheet truly becomes Sweethearts. Right after the messages are printed, the sheet speeds into the cutting station, where rows of heart-shaped dies come down almost all at once. In a single motion, the candies are punched out cleanly and precisely. And somehow every message lands perfectly centered, like the whole process was calibrated down to the millimeter. The finished hearts drop onto the conveyor below, while the leftover dough is reduced to a thin lattice-like frame. But even that doesn't go to waste. The factory collects every bit of excess material, sends it right back into the hopper, and runs it through the line again. So this operation isn't just fast, it's incredibly efficient. Almost nothing gets wasted. Right after stamping, Sweethearts are still soft, still damp, and surprisingly fragile. So the next step isn't packaging, it's drying, and it has to be done with serious control. First, the candies move through a heated drying tunnel at around 140 degrees Fahrenheit. But this stage isn't about drying them all the way. It's just enough heat to set the surface quickly so each piece holds its shape. Then the hearts are loaded onto trays and transferred into a drying room where airflow and humidity are tightly controlled. And this is where the real transformation happens. moisture is pulled out slowly, evenly, from the inside out. That way, the candies dry without cracking, warping, or losing their shape. Once the candies are fully dried, batches from every color line are blended together and poured into one massive holding bin, creating a pastel sea of tiny candy hearts. 6 colors, 6 flavors: orange, lemon, banana, grape, cherry, and wintergreen, all flowing together into one stream before heading to packaging. Once the candies are fully blended, they're carried by conveyor straight into the packaging area. And from here, everything moves fast. Machines drop the hearts into individual bags, seal them shut in seconds, and turn loose candy into a finished retail product almost instantly, ready for Valentine shelves. But the line doesn't stop there. The filled bags keep moving. They're grouped into bundles, packed into shipping cases, labeled and prepped to leave the factory for stores across the country. And maybe that's why sweethearts have never felt like just another candy. They're more like an edible piece of pop culture. Tiny, sweet, a little nostalgic. Yet every year they remind people that love always finds its own way to be said. From classic phrases to newer messages shaped by each generation, every little heart tells its own version of the American Valentine story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.